So I guess you can say Papaw is kind of nerding out on gardening this year. This is where I get back to guys. It's more about gardening to some people. It's more than just growing food. Well, good morning, friends. Welcome back to Papaw's place. Guys, I'm having to weigh my little chicks here, and I done running late. As y'all can see, this beautiful rainy day today, because when it ain't raining here lately, I got to be working. So these is the 5 chicks that I hatched out that I'm doing my one-on-one breeding that I hatched out. And we on 18 days old. They was born on 3/4 of 24. Today is 3/22 of 24. The first one weighed 7.9 ounces. This one's 7.44 ounces. That's purple. And when I'm doing this on a little one-on-one breeding, I can actually individually mark these chicks now, so I can totally track per chick. Like this one right here's got, and I got to change this band out because it's getting too tight. This one right here's got the black band. .28 ounces. And at 8 days old, it weighed 2.19 ounces. Oh, get back in there. Get back in there. Get back in there. Purple, you done been weighed. Come on, it's okay. Actually, I'm going to change all their bands this morning because they're getting tight. .36 ounces. And that one weighed 2.96 at 8 days. Blue band weighed 2.96 at 8 days. .44. That's the same as the purple. So with it only being 5, and that's how I'm gonna do my breeding, is one-on-one and just hatch a few eggs out. That way I can individually band them separate and track them all the way up. Hoping that out of these 5 that I get one good hen that looks better than one of my older hens. And then again, if I don't get one that gives me what I'm looking for when they get older, these will go in the meat freezer and I'll keep what I got. I'll get that put on the spreadsheet. Let me go get my bands, and I'm going to change the bands out on them real quick, and then they can go back in the brooding. That's one thing about using zip ties on your baby chicks, is you got to watch them and keep them changed out because they do get tight. And these zip ties here, you see this big old assortment bag. I have a link in the description below if you're interested in them. But you can get these cheap as long as you don't punch in zip tie leg bands for chickens and just use colored zip ties, which is the same thing. They jack the price up on them if you're buying them for chickens. So what am I doing? Pink, blue, purple, yellow, and I had this wrote down as black. It's really a chocolate brown, so there is a black one in there. Now I did get some of these that has numbers on them, that when these chickens get to where they ain't growing and I ain't having to change them out, I'm gonna put a number on them. That way I can track them right on up till either they gonna be kept or processed. So to start out with, we're changing the yellow one. These little bitty pliers right here is great for this, guys. But don't forget, I'll leave a link in the description below what these are. But the way they made, you can clip zip ties without having to worry about cutting your chick's leg. You're going to put your pretty bracelet on your leg, for that one was getting a little too tight. Yeah. I try to put them on as loose as I can, that they won't fall off. That way they can go 2 or 3 weeks without having to be changed out. Alright guys, we in the greenhouse now because I got some more my experimenting stuff I'm wanting to work on and start this morning. But look how good them tomatoes is growing. That there's the Hycenator STM 2255. Making a good, pretty strong plant. I got some red snappers, a couple of purple boys, some Celebrity Plus, a couple Florida 91s. I know I said in my very early video that I was going to plant some of these later. Well, I went on and started a couple anyway to start at the same time with these tomatoes. But I'm going to go on here in about 2 weeks, and if I can remember, and start me a couple more Florida 91s, because these are supposed to be heat tolerant, hence the name Florida. And I'm going to try them out to see how they do on up in the hotter part of the summer. So I'm wanting to start some that's going to be not the same age as all my other tomatoes. This here is my watermelons and cantaloupes and cucumbers and squash. You can see I'm just now getting them started because it's going to be still a while yet before they need to be put out. My Carnival blend, Hycenator bells, Savannah sweet peppers, cayenne long. Only ones I forgot to start when I started these was my heatless habaneros, so they got a very late start. But that's alright, because it's a long time before peppers is going to need to be put in the ground. One of my experiments I don't know that I was doing, I don't know if I talked about, starting seeds kind of hydroponic style in my little homemade thing. But they started and they grew up to that point, and you can see the empty holes as they died off, and now they all died. So that little experiment was a failure. I was just going to see if I could start some hydroponic style, just playing around and then plant them into the soil. But I think you can, I think them was Asian greens. I done lost my tag since I threw them over here out of the way. But it was the first time I tried that, and that was a failure. And then on this end you can see my zinnias and marigolds. Now these here was the herbs that I bought from the corner market. I had terrible luck starting my herbs this year, so I just picked up some the other day at the corner market here. And then this here's some more tomatoes, my honey delight. I went on and planted me up a couple, 3 or 4 Roma tomatoes in case we want to make some sauce. I like mixing in them thicker tomatoes with them, which I use all of my tomatoes for sauce and juice and tomatoes, canned tomatoes anyways. And at the corner market the other day, I picked up me, not that one, this one, a tomatillo. I have never grown a tomatillo in my life. So I'm going to plant one of them and see. Sharon may want to make her some of that green salsa if they produce enough off that one plant, because that's all I got was one. And my little tropical sunset, I got a couple of them, but this one's struggling back here. But both of them are slower. I don't know what that's doing stuck over there. That's a little confetti pepper. I got another tropical sunset somewhere in here that's bigger. I don't see it. Maybe it's down there with them tomatoes then. I know I planted up 2 tropical sunsets. No. Yeah, I planted up 2 tropical sunsets and 2 of these Italian ice, which is supposed to be a white tomato. And that's what I'm finna show y'all. It's one of them. I got something else going down here on the floor we're gonna work on this morning. Then over on this side's my zinnias. And I about messed them up the other day when I grabbed the wrong can in here instead of watering them. I give them a shot of the fertilizer mixture that I had fixed up for my tomatoes, and I about burnt them back. I'm just running and going. You can see I burnt my deal when I watered all that with that. They didn't need no fertilizer, and I knew that. This here's my eggplants, Black Beauty. Got a white star and a fairy tale. Them 2 little peppers there, I got enough peppers. I might as well go and pull them up. That's 2 little confetti peppers. We'll let them go. They might come on. I ain't gonna need them. I got more than I need down there. But let's get down here on the floor and I'm gonna show y'all what I'm working on. Before we get started on our hydroponic stuff I'm playing with, y'all remember me mentioning my little bitty vac that I remembered I had in my RV when I was off working? Been out there 3 or 4 years, ain't even been used. Well guys, it works perfect. When you bottom watering all them tomatoes, I pour my solution in there and then I let it sit about an hour, and I come back in here and what's left in there, I just take this little vac, stick in there and suck it out, because I don't want them standing in water. So the little water shot vac right here works great. So I'm getting more use out of it now. Like I said, I bought that when I was off working to keep my RV. So now I'm happy I'm getting to use it more often. But what we got here is V4 Hydroponics buckets. Now I already put a video up of me opening these and kind of giving a little detail of how they set up. But in that video I mentioned that since mine is going to be outside in the rain, I'm going to show a clip here how I inserted what I did. I used a little piece of PEX pipe. So what I'm doing to the buckets here, I'm measuring up 9 inches. And that's going to give me about 1.5 inches below this basket for my air roots. Plus it'll have some air roots up in here. And then I'm taking PEX pipe, since I already had it. I'm going to drill a 5/8 inch hole in this bucket. Take my little knife there and clean the burrs up. Then I'll take a piece of emery cloth and I sand that plastic because I want it rough so this hot glue will stick good inside and out. Then And I'm taking this PEX pipe and I'm cutting it about 1.25 inches long. And I cut me a piece of screen. I take the hot glue gun and I put some hot glue right around this end of this PEX pipe and set it on that screen. And then I hot glue around the outside of it. Just like that. Now the only other thing I'm doing, I got some O-rings here I had on hand. I put an O-ring on here. The reason I do that, on the inside of the bucket I use 100% silicone. I'm going to stick it through that hole with the screen on the inside. I leave it sticking in there about 1/4, 1/2 inch. I take my silicone, run around that pipe in there, and I'm just twisting it to get it all the way around it, and then I'll pull it out just a little bit to make sure that silicone's on there. Then I'm taking my hot glue gun, I'm going around the outside. And guys, I don't know if all hot glue sticks are the same, but these are some that I had back when I done taxidermy. And they hold on, especially the plastic, because they kind of melt their way into the plastic. And that's why I used the emery cloth to rough up the little PEX pipe and this bucket to help it stick. And I ain't got but one, so I'm gonna have to buy 7 more of these. That's 1/2 inch hot water PVC pipe, fits right over that 1/2 inch PEX pipe. That way I can plug it or pull it off. Now I shouldn't have stuck it on that until it dried. But that's what I'm doing. This is done dried, so that way I can plug it, fill it up with my nutrients until my plant starts growing and making roots down. And once it gets below this drain, I can unplug it. That way if it rains, the water will only come to here and drain out. Can't nothing get in there because it's got a screen on the back side of that, and can't no roots grow out of that pipe right there because I'm using a little bitty screen here. But at this point, I mixed up my solutions a while ago, and I'm using Master Blend. And I got this 4-in-1 pH, EC, TDS, temperature, like people with hydroponics use. And what I'm shooting for on my solutions, I ain't trying to nail it down because I ain't got the mixing correct to the point yet per 5-gallon bucket, but you can start out with what Master Blend recommends, and I'm shooting for anywhere from a 1.8 to a 2.5. I just mixed this bucket up and brought out here, and it's running at 2.3. You can check your pH, which on the water this year, I'm filtering my water just like I got on my water hose up there at my little sink area at the house. I'm filtering my water. That's running a 6.8 and 6.9 right there. 6.88, 6.9 on pH. But I'm also, this year, I'm going to put a filter on my garden for my in-ground irrigation drip tape. I'm going to be filtering just to see what difference that makes, filtering the chlorine out of that water. Now, if my pH was too high on my water, I would also use some pH down to bring my pH down a little bit. But I ain't had to do that yet, because after running it through that filter, our water's running about a 7, and then when you put your Master Blend in there, it's bringing it a little bit below 7, which is good enough for me. Like I said, I'm just starting with this. I ain't trying to get it nailed down to the exact science of this, because this ain't true hydroponics. And what I mean by that, these buckets here, in case you didn't see the first video, hydroponics is where you got water that kind of runs and circulates, or it always running new hydroponic water when you water, and the others going to waste. It's according to what hydroponic system you use. But this here's more of the cracky style, except it's going to be hooked to an air pump. And that's right here where you see this little screw sticking out. I got that hole plugged for right now, since I ain't got my pump and my line run through there to keep my nutrients from running back out. So what am I doing with this in the greenhouse right now? Well, you see this one right here. A few days ago I went on, and that's a Hycenator tomato. But I went on and put this tomato in here just because I wanted to go on and start one to see how it done, and you can see it's took hold. Now this other one sitting beside it here is my homemade cracky style that I'm going to be using, and this is that Italianized tomato. Now when I put this plant in here, I forgot to show y'all this on my last greenhouse update. When I started this one, this little plant wasn't that long. So it's just been growing in Master Blend Solution here. Now this is a homemade one, and it's not going to have no air pump hooked to it. What I'm going to do, I'm going to set this, and then I got another bucket ready over here. I'm going to experiment with a cucumber in it. But on my barrels out in my garden, you know, I got two out there that pots is sitting on top of a barrel. I'm going to set this bucket on top of that pot. That way this tomato can just hang down, and I'm going to see how it works. Now I tried that one time doing the cucumbers in my just a 55-gallon barrel, but I actually messed that up myself, not knowing what I was doing. One thing, I didn't have a drain hole, which is where this is going to come into play. So when it rains, it won't fill all the way up with water and kill your air roots. So with this setup, with this bucket, it's going to be able to drain and not come up and kill my air roots. So I'm going to be testing that, and I'm going to be testing a cucumber in another bucket. Again, but out of a 5-gallon bucket sitting up high. So back to the V-board buckets here. These come from V-board, and you can buy them. This was a set of 8 with the air pump, and everything comes included except what I done here. Now again, reason I done this, because right now when you put your plant in here, you need it filled up. And we finna do one here in just a minute. You need it filled up, so when your plant's sitting in the bottom of this basket, with these clay pebbles around them, your roots is sitting on the bottom, so you need your solution touching that. Now as it grows, as it starts growing, your roots start going down into the solution and getting longer. Then I'm gonna pull this plug. Once the roots get that far down, I can pull this plug. That way if it rains in my bucket, it'll drain out and won't come up and smother the air roots. Right now the air roots that it's going to have is up in this basket. So that's what I'm testing out here. Plus when I set them up out in my garden, they're going to be set up in a line. 8 buckets in a line. And I don't know exactly what I'm going to have in them yet. I'm going to have a couple of tomatoes, a couple of cucumbers, just trying different things. And they're going to be air hooked to the bubbler pump, which puts oxygen in the bubbler, in the water, makes it bubble all the time. That helps with your algae. Now back to the homemade bucket, it ain't going to have a bubbler. So it's going to build up algae. And doing a tomato plant, by the time that tomato's done, it'll probably be a lot of algae in there. But this is all just a test for me. Now if you was doing lettuce or something that's more short term, you ain't got to worry about a bubbler, because it ain't going to build up that much algae in the quick amount of time that it takes to grow your greens and lettuces. But I'm experimenting with a little bit of everything here. Now, in case you missed my first video on these V-board buckets, when I started making these, I was wanting to do this, and then I got to looking, and the V-board buckets come with everything. And guys, if I had to buy buckets, buy the little pump, buy the hose, but you don't need this part. But this here, it's got a little bead, and I ain't put it in here yet. I will when I set them up. got a little orange bead you can put in there. That way you can see where your nutrients is at. Because once they get, your nutrients start falling, once they get growing out there and the roots come down, once my nutrient level starts falling, I don't want to let it fall very far. That's where I messed up on my first time trying it in the 55 gallons. Once it starts falling, I'll automatically fill it back up to here about once a week, once every 2 weeks, whatever it needs. Also, I use my test meter here to keep my ECs around 2, because when it rains, rainwater is going to go in there and dilute my nutrients. And that's why I went on and I got the testing. I don't know what you call this, nutrients testers for hydroponics. But I'm going to tell y'all something else I done just playing. I don't know if it's legit or not, because this test is pH. So I took some soil out of one of my beds, mixed it in water just like you would if you was using the little pH strips, let it settle overnight, and tested my pH of my water with this, and tested the nutrients, the EC of it, and I was excited. The one bed I did come up about 1.8, and that's about what you mix in your solutions here is about 2. So that kind of made me excited that my beds was that close, or at least that one I tested. Now this is the soil I got out of one of my beds. I stirred it up with some filtered water, let it settle overnight. EC, that would be about a 1.74, 1.75. I'm happy with that though. Let's see what the pH is. pH is about a 6.17 out of that bed. Y'all know I've been working on my pH in my beds, trying to bring it back down. It may be just a little bit low, but that's better than being up there at 8. But all this stuff that I'm using will be in the description below this video with a link if you would be interested in go checking it out. So right now we finna, I think I'm gonna take this one of these Celebrity Plus. I think I'm gonna put one of these Celebrity Plus in this one. I done tested my nutrients. It's all the way up to where it's, when I set this in there, it's gonna be touching the bottom. I got my clay pebbles, and guys, the V-Bore kits, they come with everything you need, even the clay pebbles here. Now I rinsed my clay pebbles just to get the dust and all rinsed out of them before I set that one bucket up over there. So all we gonna do, first I'm gonna take this sticker off here and stick on this bucket so I remember which plant's in this bucket. We're gonna remove this tomato plant. And I ain't gonna fool with much of it, just booger up the bottom down there just so they'll loosen up the roots. Set it right down in there. Put your clay pebbles around it. Now, another thing I like about this is these 2 tomatoes here. Just say if our weather started playing tricks on us and kept lingering out with these frosts and stuff, I'm gonna have 2 tomatoes in here. Even if they start growing, I can string them up to the top of their greenhouse. But you put your clay pebbles around it, and that's all you do. Now, one of the issues I'm gonna be having, since I'm doing this outdoors, is when it comes these big rains, of course water can go in here, dilute your nutrients. But again, that's why I'm gonna have these plugs here, caps, once them roots take hold and start growing in that solution, the roots getting long enough, I can pull this plug. So when it rains, y'all see what I'm saying, it'll drain back out. It won't come back out and drown my air roots. But I have to keep my little tester. I can pick it up, stick it in there and test it after it rains, because I'm going to have to re-strengthen my nutrients. But I already got an idea I'm going to try on one bucket, and I think it'll work. And the reason I think it'll work on this is because I'm going to be hooked. It's going to have that little air pump that runs through right here where I got that hole plugged at the moment. It's going to be putting air bubbles in there, which adds oxygen for your air roots. So I'm going to try on one of them, taking me some clay-like soil, real clayey soil, and putting around this tomato, kind of healing it up there a little bit. So maybe a lot of that water, when it hits it, will run off and won't fill my bucket up with water or dilute my nutrients. I'm going to try that on one and see how that works. Because like I said, most of the time this stuff here is set up for greenhouses or patios or something that's where rain ain't going to be raining straight in them. So I done the little conversion part here on mine. But guys, that's what I wanted to get done today. I wanted to go on and start me a second one after the first one caught hope so good. This one here catches hope. I'm trying to decide, I got 8 buckets. I'm trying to decide exactly what I'm going to plant in the 8 buckets. Because out there where I got my string trellis, where I string my tomatoes up on a string, I'm going to put them 8 buckets lined up. And then on the other end of that, I'm going to have whatever I have planted in this bucket. If I have a celebrity, it's going to be a celebrity in the soil at the other end. I got a hycenator, it's going to be a hycenator in the soil at the other end. If I do a cucumber in the bucket, it's going to be a cucumber strung up. So I can compare how good this works against planting in the soil on that same row. Now on that same row, it's going to be getting injected through the drip irrigation. And again, this year I have other plans, because I'm going to utilize this little tester here to test my nutrients that I mix in my injector pump, which my injector pump this year, this winter when I wasn't doing nothing, I gave it a little makeover and I made it even better than what it was last year. And it worked great last year with the little fuel pump on it. So I'm going to be feeding my drip irrigation garden basically with the same master blend that I'm putting in these buckets. And see what our outcome is. So I guess you can say Papaw is kind of nerding out on gardening this year. This is where I get back to, guys. It's more about gardening to some people. It's more than just growing food. It's a hobby and something fun to do. If I was just going to grow food, I would just plant only what I wanted to eat. But that ain't what it's about to me. So guys, if you like these little videos, if you ain't never subscribed, please reach down there and hit that subscribe button. It don't cost you a thing. Ring that notification bell so you'll get notifications of my videos. That way you can follow along this year and see what this stuff does. Also, if you always give me that thumbs up, hit that like button down there and just leave me any kind of comment. I need my algorithm to get built up so that YouTube put my videos out there so more people can find them. When you comment and leave thumbs up, that helps other people find my videos. And I would sure appreciate it. But as always, I hope y'all have a great day and a blessed week. God bless. See y'all next time. How you little rabbits this morning? Huh? Guys, these little fellas here's 3 weeks old. What are you doing, Loretta? Come on, y'all get out of that corner so I can see y'all. Make sure y'all okay. Y'all snuggling up. That damn wind's cool this morning, ain't it? I'm gonna put your wind block back up. Guys, once they get big enough to jump out of the nesting box, I just leave them some hay in here to lay on, which it was more than that, and they done raked it around, raked it through the wire. Looking good.